Hi, this is Donnie Hansen again. This is my third lesson for Education Psychology 304, and this is my lesson on moral development that I'll be having with Bethany. Sort of as an intro, I wanted to talk about Erik Erikson's stages of psychosocial development theory. Right now, Bethany's in the stage of identity versus role confusion, so I wanted to create a lesson that helped address that to make sure that she has a clear identity, because this stage is all about making sure who she is, what she's doing, and how she relates with society, depending on what she's doing now. Sort of as a pre-assessment to the lesson, or as to start off the lesson, I'll have her tell me the story of Esther in the Old Testament, and see if she can do it just by herself. If we need to check for I'm obviously checking for misconceptions. If we need to, we can go back and just read the Old Testament story, because I want to make sure she has it good in her head. After reading about the story, I want to introduce the idea of moral dilemmas, and which is essentially when someone's in a situation in which there's conflicting moral values. If they choose one, there's going to be negative consequences no matter what. So you're trying to find your best way out of the problem. So I'm going to give her several prototypes of possible moral dilemmas in her life. Take situations where she might actually run into these moral dilemmas. For example, let's say she's at Rexburg Rapids and she sees her Laurel advisor and she's wearing an inappropriate bathing suit. What does she do? Does she tell someone about it? Does she go up to her and confront her about it? Does she say nothing and let that sit with her? Another possible one would be if she's at the riot zone in Rigby during the fall, during the corn maze, and she's there with some friends, and she finds out one of her friends went off and was starting to smoke with some other people, and she saw her. What would she do? Because that's a conflicting view. So after sharing some of those experiences or dilemmas with her and seeing her reaction and how she deals with it, I'd introduce Kohlberg's theory of moral development and teach that to her. Talk about what kind of behavior constitutes pre-conventional, conventional, and post-conventional thinking when someone's confronted with a moral dilemma. After I teach her and give her all the prototypes, I'm going to assess her comprehensions by having her teach it back to me with her own prototypes. And as a homework, I want her to search through the scriptures and find these moral dilemmas and evaluate the responses of the people in those moral dilemmas and get back to me. So the various concepts that have to deal with this lesson on Kohlberg's theory of moral development. The first is Bloom's taxonomy. I wanted to make sure I'm hitting as many levels as I can. We talked about remembering, if she can recall it. If she can recall it also. If she understands it, if she can apply it to her own life through the stories, and if she can analyze the stories of others that are found in the scriptures. Also, I'm dealing with a lot of both cognitive and affective domains here. I'm trying to teach her a new concept, but especially since I'm introducing these stories of her own life, it's a lot of emotional turmoil in making those decisions. That's good. I wanted to create a lot of disequilibrium. I want her to be on her toes and to reach this kind of new frontier. And speaking of frontiers, I'm trying to make sure that the zone of proximal development is just right. I understand that she has to be able to communicate herself well, which most females do. She has to be able to have friends, which she has. She has to be semi-autonomous in that she can make her own decisions, which I think growing up in that household, she does well at that. The frontier that I'll be exposing there, that's probably just beyond her comprehensible input, is dealing with all these tough situations. I just want to prepare her for college and post-college life, where she'll have to run into those. I'm sure she's had a few of them in high school. For example, senior photos. That was a moral dilemma. So with zone proximal development, I want to make sure that's on the frontier for her, emotionally as well as cognitively. She probably never thought of these things before. I also have to consider the individual physical state of Bethany. Maybe she didn't have a good breakfast. Maybe she didn't get a good night's sleep. This is obviously really emotional stuff, so I have to be aware of that. I'll have to be checking constantly to make sure that she's okay. And yeah. Another thing I might want to bring into the lesson is visualization. Have her visualize the moral dilemmas as they happen. Like she's in the cornfield, she can smell it. She looks over her friend, incorporate all of that stuff. I also have to consider Maslow's hierarchy of needs. This isn't about food or rest. This isn't about feeling safe or secure. This isn't really even, well, somewhat about love and belonging, but I think she has that in her home. The levels we'd be concerned with is her self-concept, self-esteem, and also with self-actualization and in reaching the pinnacle of her life of a decisive moment and feeling good about it. Uh, I also have to evaluate if this is an intrinsic or extrinsic exercise. I'm just forcing this on her if she'd be motivated internally to do so. And I'm dealing with that by trying to bring in a lot of situational interest, making it about her life, about her future life. And I hope it'll be something that she remembers and something that she can apply to her life.